Hi, I'm Andrew Martin. I'm the group publisher at Asia Online and Disruptive Tech ASEAN. I'm really pleased that today I'm going to be speaking to Ted Aravinthan from Cloud Kinetics. He is the Chief Revenue Officer from that company, and they are a Singapore success story. They're made up of a merger of two Singapore companies with deep skills in cloud and cloud migration that have come together to become a really important force in cloud services in Singapore. So, Ted, great to have you with us. Would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Thanks for having me, Andrew. My name is Ted Aravinthan, and I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Cloud Kinetics.
Okay, thanks, Ted. It's great to have you here. So let's just jump straight in. Let's start with COVID-19. Obviously, people are maybe getting a little bored with talking about COVID-19 all the time, but the reality is that it has and it continues to push businesses to really rethink their digital strategy in a really significant way. And I think we've reached the conclusion already that cloud transformation for almost every business is no longer an option, but it's an absolute imperative. So what are your views on this situation and this total digital metamorphosis that we're seeing?
So Andrew, COVID has had an impact so profound in our lives and in the industry as a whole. As you can imagine, the impact that we've seen in the F&B segment, in the pharmaceutical segment, logistics, manufacturing, even legal profession, all across the board, COVID has brought in an immense amount of change. And, it's a couple of things that we need to keep in mind, right? So first of all, how we engage our employees has become a huge differentiator. People are now working from home. Work from home is becoming the norm these days. So really, how do we keep engaged? How do we use things like Google Workspace, Microsoft Teams, or Zoom? All of these things have made an impact on the processes that we have today. And also we need to change the way we actually engage as well and how we communicate, right? Now, if you look at the entire environment of change, you look at F&Bs. It used to be that, you cook your meals in the kitchen and you deliver it to the table. Now, F&Bs now need to look at using mobile apps for food delivery. There's an impact on logistics and delivery services that comes into play. How do you digitize your offers? Say, for example, pictures of your food, your menu. How do you kind of make these changes on how you operate? How do you pack? Packaging has becoming a very important thing these days. So these are changes that, has fundamental implications on how we operate. So the number one question that the industry folks have to ask now is, how agile are we in adapting these changes? First of all, can we actually make these changes? Can we make the decision to, make a change on how we operate our business? But then also importantly, how agile are we in making changes and execute on them? I think these have, been the biggest challenges that industry leaders are facing, which is agility to make decision and execute. Now, once we kind of do these things, the other important thing that I've also come across as a result of COVID and the acceleration of digital transformation is security. Cybersecurity has been a huge thought process for a lot of leaders. How do we not only secure the perimeter, but how do we also secure internally? How do we secure against unfavorable actors who are really coming after our business? They're using very sophisticated use cases and technologies to come after us. How do you protect against those? All of these go and make an impact on the processes that we have to change. And I think this has been a massive impact across the board. So I think, overall, agility, security, and how do we adopt digital transformation to make it work for us? These are the major impacts that I've actually seen in the industry.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that, Ted. I think it's a really important point that you made there when we look at all this transformation and modernization is thinking about actually how you change the experience, not just for your customers, but as you mentioned, for your actual employees and your team as well. I think the IT and the technology that you put together to enable their new working processes is really important. So it's very interesting to me that you focus on that as one of the key areas to look at. taking what you've said into account, I guess the really important question now is to understand how exactly does Cloud Kinetics help potential customers and clients to build a cost-effective and future-ready cloud transformation strategy?
So at Cloud Kinetics, we look at two customer segments. One is digital natives. These are customers who have born in the cloud, built the apps on the cloud, and now are looking to either scale or perhaps optimize their infrastructure investments with the cloud service providers. And these are a small set of customers that we focus on to help them with how they actually optimize their spend. But the vast majority of customers that we look at are really the traditional customers, where they may have a lot of on-prem workloads, they have traditional data centers, and are now looking at moving to cloud. They might have some infrastructure and some use case on cloud, but now they're really thinking about adopting cloud in a major way. And these are our customers that we look at focusing on. And so when you really think about it, right, these customers require someone with an immense amount of knowledge on on-prem hybrid cloud infrastructure. And, if you look at Cloud Kinetics, we have actually integrated two companies in the last 6 months. One is InfoFabrica, the other one is Cloud Kinetics. So InfoFabrica has an immense knowledge and experience on hybrid cloud. They are perhaps Southeast Asia's largest VMware professional services partner. And so they have a lot of experience around that. So with InfoFabrica's capabilities, we understand their on-prem world and the hybrid world. Cloud Kinetics was born in the cloud, and their expertise really underpins cloud infrastructure and how we support customers. So when we bring these two companies together, we have the uncanny ability to look at understanding the on-prem, traditional, as well as moving them to cloud. So we can actually help you optimize and come up with the right solution, rather than someone who is just looking at the cloud, who may not necessarily understand the challenges that comes with the traditional environment, right? And so when you kind of look at these customer bases, what we provide is hybrid cloud, which is private cloud as well as public cloud, and how do you integrate them and how do you kind of migrate between them, which is something that we have been doing for tens of years, and we have massive credibility around that. The other aspect that we are also looking at data modernization. So this is looking at how do we help you maximize the value of your data by adopting the right data warehouse, data lakes within their cloud service providers. But also more importantly, when you look at customers who have their development centers, customers who have their own applications, these are fairly complex enterprises and telcos. We focus with these customers to look at how do we support their DevOps environment, because they have a lot of development teams and they want to optimize it. They want to transform them to adopt to the cloud. So we do a lot of automation. We do a lot of open source management around those deliverables, and we look at modernizing the applications, whether it be refactoring or perhaps moving them into containers and Kubernetes. And so that's a focus area that we do. Now, having said that, we also look at other SaaS applications that customers may want to do. So these are enterprise applications, and we support them on those as well. So overall, Cloud Kinetics looks at developing our capabilities to support our customers in managing their cloud migrations, their transformation to adopt and really optimize their cloud spend.
Yeah, thanks again for that, Ted. And one thing that I took from what you mentioned just then was around the area of optimizing. And I know you spoke about, for some of your more experienced clients, that where you really get involved is helping them with optimizing their cloud applications and cloud workloads. But from everything that we've learned and some of the reviews and interviews that we do, we understand that getting onto cloud and getting things working on cloud is probably only the start. And optimization to truly leverage cloud is obviously a very important skill, which it seems like as a company that is constantly involved in cloud migrations, that you and your team would have. And I think that sounds like something really, really important to your clients. I wonder if you could help me with this one though, which is, we do see a lot of companies adopting cloud, but we still also see, even in Singapore, but across Southeast Asia, a lot of companies still resistant to move into cloud. Maybe they're still worried about some of the myths around security and things like that. But Are you able to share some perhaps real examples of how your clients and companies that you've worked with have benefited by doing early adoption of cloud?
That's a great question, Andrew. So, when we at Cloud Kinetics talk about agility, we also want to help our customers be agile. Now, if I was to bring an example of a real estate platform provider, they had their infrastructure on-prem and they were struggling to scale, and they made this conscious decision to move to cloud. Enter Cloud Kinetics. Here is where we looked at not only what they wanted to do, which is move to cloud, but we also looked at what is their infrastructure, how much of it can be depreciated, look at it from a financial perspective, what makes sense for the customer, and then figure out a 2-year plan on what we can actually migrate to cloud and what they can live with for now, and then migrate that in a second phase. And we kind of gave them a program on how they can do this. Now, fundamentally, the way they looked at this was, well, let's move this to cloud, let's optimize these, and Cloud Kinetics manages that and provides them a managed services so that they can actually focus on their business. And then what we also did was, as they onboarded their own customers, we helped manage those infrastructure and how those customers can be agile in going to market. So this is a very good example of us trying to be agile in what we do, as well as customers being agile. Now, if you look at another example of a large branded media house, they had made a decision to move to cloud. They decided that they wanted to use data analytics on cloud. But one of the challenges that they had was they felt that after they had migrated to cloud, they felt that the cost of doing business on cloud was almost the same as they were doing on-prem. So they were a little bit worried around, well, have they done the right decision? So they engaged Cloud Kinetics. And one of the aspects that we looked at again was, looked at it from a hybrid cloud perspective. We gave them an advice around which workloads to keep on-prem and which workloads to move to cloud. And then we helped them optimize their cloud infrastructure, then look at automating a lot of their data analytics processes, as well as started to look at monitoring the way their applications were running. And this provided them a peace of mind, not only that their infrastructure was up and running, but also that from a financial perspective, they were able to optimize. And I think this is what makes sense, right? I mean, you can't really adopt technology for the sake of technology, but it's got to make sense financially. It's got to enable you to focus on the business and innovate. So these are some of the examples that that I can share. And as I said, we have 450 of these customers under our belt. We've got a massive amount of experience around this, and we're able to kind of look at those in a very bespoke manner and provide consulting and professional services, and then as well as provide managed services to help them keep the lights on.
Thanks, Ted. Really appreciate you sharing some of those customer stories with us. One thing that tells us when we see just how many clients and companies that Cloud Kinetics works with to help them with their cloud migration and cloud journey is that clearly you and your team come across the same kind of issues multiple occasions, which means you can bring a depth of experience to dealing with some of these cloud optimization issues that companies that only do a cloud migration once in however many years will never be able to do. And that has to be a really important value that Cloud Kinetics brings to the cloud transformation journey for most clients. So again, once again, Ted, really appreciate your time. Been very interesting, and thanks again for joining us.
Well, thanks, Andrew. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, and hope you all have a great day.